Here's a fun fact. Faker's last solo queue game before winning Worlds was a Yone match where he just straight up ran it down. Turns out, Showmaker was right. EUS solo queue truly is the hardest challenge in the world. For a double fun fact, Faker's last solo queue game in Season 12's Worlds was actually against me. Playing against Faker is obviously every content creator's dream, so I started recording excited for what I'd be able to upload. Except that was probably one of the lamest games I've ever played. Anytime we tried to interact with each other, both junglers and supports were there. If he tried something, he would die. If I tried something, I'd immediately be ganked. That went on for the entire game. You can literally hear how depressed I am at the end of it. I wish that had been more fun, but whatever. That's what the mid lane meta is in high elo. In any case, solo queue is of course simply a place to limit test and get as good as possible before pros compete. There's a lot of skills players like Faker practice, but there's an interesting skill worth mentioning I've never heard anyone else bring up in the League community: utilizing body language. There's actually a lot that goes into how you and your opponents just move your champions or where you're standing, and it can actually give you key insights into what they're thinking or even let you feed this information. It can also be used mechanically, like to land skill shots. In fact, have you ever watched a high elo player smurfing in your elo and everyone looks like a bot? Everyone plays so much worse compared to when you're playing, right? Obviously there's skill involved there, but a decent part of that is just body language. You see, when a challenger player loads into a lower elo game, we go into it with so much confidence that the players around us feel it. Just from how we stand, lower elo players can feel like they don't have a chance. They sometimes don't even trade back, just from the confidence we're showing in our positioning. There's a lot of benefits that can be gained from mastering body language, but it is definitely an extremely difficult skill to learn. That's because you can't properly utilize it unless you know what your own goals are, on top of knowing what your opponent should be doing as well, or even how you'd like to bait them into playing. It's definitely a higher level skill, but one that you will become better at implementing the more you know about the game. As you'll soon see, having a good understanding of the game is the foundation for all the plays Faker is about to make. That's where we come in. At Skillcapped, we have the best courses out there for teaching you everything you need to know to become a better League player. We have dedicated courses for every single role, as well as everything else you need, such as trading, macro, farming, and much more. We're so confident in the way that we teach the game and that our courses will help you improve that we have a 5-division improvement guarantee. No one else dares to offer that. If you don't improve using Skillcapped, you get your money back, no questions asked. So if you really want to be able to make the best use out of everything you learned in this video, make sure to check us out after this using the link below. Okay, how you move your character during a fight can say a lot about how you're approaching it. For example, you know how you typically weave in and out of range and zigzag towards your opponent in a fight? That's the normal type of movement, so you can avoid spells and so on. But we're going to be focusing on 2 very simple movements that you already know how to incorporate. The first is full aggression. This is where you run at someone in a straight line. This usually indicates extreme confidence that you will win the fight no matter what. You've either got a teammate behind you, more cooldowns, you just know you win the fight, it doesn't matter the reason, you're just going straight at someone. So the second example would be a full retreat. I know I lose the fight, so I'm showing you that I'm not playing around. I'm trying to run away from you in a straight line so I can try and live. Keep these in mind as we take a look at a game where Faker's team was getting completely stomped. In fact, so was he. Everyone has awful games, and he was definitely part of the problem. As Faker respawns and heads bottom, he's pushing out when he sees Viktor trying to farm as well. Let's take a look at their items. Even if Viktor were to mess everything up, he would still destroy Galio 1v1 at this point. Also, let's take a quick look at the minimap. Take a look at Faker's team's positioning. Okay, now let's watch what happens. Faker does a full aggression walk towards Viktor, causing him to eat a cannon as he retreats. Cool, so that was just a bluff to test Viktor, and we learned key intel about him. Faker knew prior to running at him that Viktor has had vision of his team. All 4 of his own teammates had been visible for quite a while now. The fact that Viktor ran away is a clear sign he doesn't track enemy players on the map consistently. Faker running at him here so aggressively was, as the kids say, illegal. I love this. You can literally see Viktor process the information in real time. Okay, let me see here. Who is coming towards me? Wait, there's K'Sante, Jhin, Rakan, and Aphelios. Oh, he was bluffing me. I can totally 1v1 him. Let me sneak in here. As Viktor comes out, notice Faker's immediate body language. He does the full straight line retreat. His body language is basically saying, oh, you figured me out. Crap, I gotta get out of here. here. This lulls Viktor into a false sense of security, making it very easy for Faker to randomly turn and land his E. As the fight goes on, Faker is clearly losing despite landing everything. You can see the moment where he once again goes into full retreat mode. He's basically saying, "Oh gosh, I'm an idiot. I didn't realize I lose this so hard." Viktor once again falls for the bait, right into another E as Rakan shows up. They barely don't kill him, Faker runs again, and Viktor chases right into Aphelios, scoring his team a much needed kill. This all goes back to that initial aggression at the start. I'm gonna be a bit mean here, but this is one of the reasons why every challenger player has an ego, including myself, and calls this elo range Master's Low. Checking your opponent's map awareness is a common tactic for really good players to do, because then you'll know it's much easier to manipulate them if your own map awareness is good. If we flip to Viktor's POV, he had vision of everyone rotating. The difference is that Faker can think about that while he's fighting, and he's then using simple body language to bait Viktor right into his multiple traps throughout the play. This is what makes players like Faker so amazing. Being able to take in so much information instantly and then adapting your decision making and body language on the fly is not easy. It's really hard to read a good player's true intentions on the spot, which is why Masters players like this Viktor get baited so easily by someone as experienced as Faker. But what's even more interesting is when you know someone can read your intentions in real time, and then going that step further to mind game them with your body language. This next play is one of the most ridiculous things I've seen all year, and it's not because Faker is doing something mechanically crazy or game winning. He's just going to do something ridiculous to style on someone. That's definitely my favorite type of play. Let me show you. Once again, Faker's team is on the back foot, and he's definitely part of the problem. Just some good old-fashioned limit testing. That was less limit testing and more in the inting territory, but it is what it is. After cleaning up some kills, Faker decides to push in bot lane to try and get the tower. As he's finishing it off, K'Sante shows up, threatening to kill him. From this range, there is absolutely no way for Faker to die if he just walked away. Okay, so when Faker E's into the tower and walks up, what is he signifying to K'Sante? This is pretty easy. Faker is clearly indicating he's trading his life for the tower. If K'Sante just hugs the spirit, Faker is 100% dead. So K'Sante actually has the correct idea to stack up his third Q while he waits, but on that exact Q animation, Faker goes back to his E and walks away to safety. I really love this moment. If K'Sante did the bad and mindless thing of just hugging the spirit, Faker would be 100% dead. But K'Sante is at an elo range where he could read Faker's body language, and he wanted to min-max getting a last hit and stacking his Q before Faker got away. What this means is that Faker risked his life on a gamble where his opponent was good, read the situation properly, and he did all of that for meaningless tower damage and just the ego on the K'Sante. That's the kind of gameplay I really enjoy. K'Sante, tilted that he's being toyed with, chases Faker, but Lex and Talon are coming his way. Okay, there's two ways to try and bait this K'Sante. Faker can wait out K'Sante's Q that's about to run out and maybe walks back and cues him to pretend he wants to fight. Or he could just full retreat, run away. Which do you think you would do? And here's a hint. Think about this from K'Sante's perspective. The answer is to simply keep running away because K'Sante will always walk forward here. And finally, at this point, he's too committed to run away. He gets collapsed on by Faker's team and he goes down. The reason Faker shouldn't turn is because he understands that K'Sante knows basic macro fundamentals. Let's look at this through the enemy POV for a moment. Right now, K'Sante knows about the mirrored wave rule, so he's aware there's a blue wave ahead. So he's likely going to play for tempo. His goal is to chase Faker as he retreats, delaying his recall while also killing the wave. This gives his team a massive tempo advantage because Yon's base will be delayed forever, so K'Sante can move and regroup with his team while there's a wave crashing bottom. That's why Faker chose such passive body language to bait here. He knew K'Sante would always keep walking forward, so there was no need to bait any further. While we've looked at some mid-game examples of Faker baiting players, the simplest method of using body language tends to be during the laning phase. This is because you're in a 1v1 or 2v2 versus versus these same opponents for around 10 to 14 minutes, which gives both sides a ton of time to establish patterns. Reading body language in lane is usually about putting yourself in your opponent's shoes and thinking about what they're trying to do through their perspective. For example, if Faker on Sylas has been playing extremely safe the whole laning phase, it stands to reason that he believes he doesn't win the 1v1 versus Galio. So when for seemingly no reason, Faker randomly starts walking towards you at level 4, that would be a big indication that you're probably getting ganked. I truly don't know how that wasn't extremely obvious. Let's take a look at a similar laning phase with a different lesson though. In this game, Faker is doing basically the exact same thing. Against a Talon, Sylas can't do much early on, so notice Faker's body language. Look how far away he's playing the lane. Typically, you would try to tether around Talon's W range so you can maybe bait it out and then trade. Not only this, but he's using his abilities extremely passively to get in and get out, trying to secure any CS he can as safely as possible. As a result, Talon can do whatever he wants, and he uses that priority to go and secure vision in the jungle. The one time Faker does go in for a trade, it goes poorly, and look at the respect he's showing Talon. He's even conceding this cannon minion. Due to how much pressure Faker is giving away, Talon continues to do whatever he wants in the jungle. But while Talon is roaming the map, Faker uses the time to push the wave and reset to buy items. Once Faker is back in lane, he cancels Talon's base and we get to a critical moment. Faker has an item and health advantage over the Talon because he was selfish, while Talon was trying to help his team. In this situation, many of you should know that Faker wants to deny Talon's recall right now. His goal should be to use his item lead to play really aggressively to keep Talon in a bad lane state. On the other hand, from Talon's point of view, he's nearly level 4, he still has the early matchup advantage, and he's got a much bigger wave. Talon definitely has counterplay options here. For one example, the simplest thing he could do is just ignore Faker's attempt at aggression. Faker doesn't have the damage to kill him in one combo. Talon could just trade all of his HP to make sure the wave crashes and then just recall afterwards. What happens is a result of Talon not asking himself why Faker is positioning a certain way. Remember, Talon has had free reign this entire laning phase because of Faker's extremely passive body language, and despite having the momentary level lead and item advantage, Faker continues to play the same way. The goal here is to buy time while Viego finishes Scuttle and comes over to gank. Due to Faker's really passive body language, Talon feels like he's the big boss man. He's slow pushing the wave so he can try to surprise Faker with level 4. He's also, for some reason, Wing for harass instead of trying to crash when he's in a terrible lane position. After stalling for so long, Faker finally walks up because Viego is in position to, hold on, what's going on here? Why is Viego on Raptors? I always forget every jungle main goes full moron mode over this stupid camp. Faker's played the game long enough to know how to deal with stupid jungle mains. He just has to work a little extra hard to make this gank work. Look at his spacing here. My god, not bad, right? Thankfully, Viego finally realized there was a free kill in mid and secures the Talon. When it comes to body language, in the first example I showed you, you really need to pay attention to how your opponent is typically positioning. Like this Galio not respecting Faker randomly going aggressive for no reason. Your lane opponent isn't being swapped out mid-game by their older brother. The same person is playing, they're not going to randomly play different for no reason at all. The next level of that is being aware of your own patterns though, like we just saw. Faker knew this Talon was feeling arrogant based on how passively he'd been playing the whole laning phase. The level above that is what Talon required though. This is why fundamentals are so key to understanding body language. When Faker was back in lane after buying, Talon should know that any decent player will play aggressively here. The fact that Faker continued to play passively with his body language, the fact that his movement and where he was standing didn't change would give me some hint as to what he's looking to do. If Talon had simply thought things through, he should never be baited here. Of course, there's no way I could cover everything to do with body language in this video. I just wanted to share some cool moments to show you just how powerful this skill could be. If you really want to get the most out of this concept, make sure to check out Skill Cap to improve further. In any case, I'll catch you again next time.